Hi there, it's Tom and Tom making videos.
Well, podcast, really, we call this, but we happen to turn the camera on.
And it being April Fool's Day, we're not saying this one's going to be serious or not. Might have to wait to the end to find out.
I already did my April Fool's Day post on LinkedIn, and I got more than a few people.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And you would have got me too if it weren't for the fact that I knew too much already. Well, today, in all seriousness, we have a topic that we expect will be uncomfortable for some portion of our audience. And for those of you who are uncomfortable with this, get over it. No, seriously, I like to say, Tom, that we bring a full set of luggage with us to our jobs. Meaning that our whole life is built up one brick at a time. And some of those bricks are broken. And they're still part of us, and we can't do a lot about it unless we are willing to be uncomfortable for a very long time, because change is hard. And I think we've talked about change before. We probably do a whole piece on change because it's hard. And changing yourself is maybe the hardest thing to do. But nonetheless, we as coworkers have to deal with each other. And all of us, every single person who listens to this video will have experienced what I call when egos collide stories. They've witnessed it. Two people with big egos and different points of view.
Yeah, my brain does that within itself, even, much less in a group. I think very small minds only have one opinion about something. I can have two or three at a time.
You're like the little devil and the little angel on your shoulders. That's probably healthy. What I'm talking about is unhealthy. And, one of the things we actually talk about in the book is the different reasons why people want to be leaders. And sadly, one of the most common reasons that I've experienced, and I'm really just speaking from my own 60 whatever years of doing business with people, not quite 60, but probably in the 50s somewhere. What I've learned is that people who seek power usually will get it. If that's their goal in life, is to have power.
If that is your goal.
That's what they're working towards, right?
Yeah.
And if they're smart and persistent, they'll probably find a place where they can insert themselves and have control over their environment. Because typically that's what people who seek power will do. And if you dig into it a little bit, the reason why they typically are seeking power is because when they were a little kid, probably 6 years old, they didn't have it. Their environment was messed up somehow, and they couldn't control it. They couldn't fix it. And they spent the rest of their lives trying to get control of their environment so that it would be comfortable for them. The problem with that, of course, is it's often very uncomfortable for everyone else. Now, Tom, have you ever had a boss or a coworker or a leader like that?
Oh, yeah, I think we all have. I think um, the bigger your organization, the more successful the people who really just have power and control as their objectives, the they really do well in large organizations, because a lot of the rest of us think, we actually think our goal is the mission, vision, and values of the organization. And they're like, that's not their goal. Their goal is power.
Right.
And they will do what, and they're not confused by the mission. They're not confused by the vision. They're not confused by the values.
None of that bothers them.
They will do everything for power.
Right. And society, unfortunately, we know, like, there's many books written on good leadership and the characteristics of good leaders. And they never really tend to describe an authoritarian who wants to have absolute control over everything. Like, that isn't typically. There was a book years ago called Winning Through Intimidation that gained some
I've
traction
read that
for a
book.
minute.
That's a blast from the past. It's a good book, actually.
It was an interesting book. And it really did talk about throwing out the rule book and just using raw tactics to get what you want, which might explain why it's not as well known as it once was.
All of the executives read it and they've refused to tell anyone else to read it.
That's right. It's too good, keep that stuff for
Like,
themselves. But the point being is I think people, sadly, we often confuse the characteristics of a good leader because we've seen so many bad leaders that we equate certain characteristics of confidence and willingness to take risks. And I mean, some of those things are not terrible, but a lot of the sort of strength-based leadership that we see, the strength especially, is kind of misplaced, because we talk a lot about great leaders having empathy and humility and knowing how to delegate and knowing how to reinforce the guiding North Star principles, the mission, vision, and values. That's what good leaders do. They make you feel good. They make you proud for the accomplishments you have. They don't take that away from you. They want to give it to you. But yet, we pick people to lead who don't have those characteristics because of the traditional mindset we have about what a good leader looks like. We don't want to work for them, but we know them when we see them.
There's a tell in that sentence. You and I, in writing this book, and picking our wildly successful, the Intentional Culture Cookbook, we specifically targeted smaller companies, maybe going, to a second or third round of funding and in a growth phase. But we did not write this for large organizations and established firms over 150 people even. Because frankly, by then you're probably already overrun with people who want power for power's sake.
Yeah.
And our real hack is alignment around mission, vision, and values, and which means leaders have to be that. If their goal is some unresolved childhood trauma, and they can't get behind the mission, vision, and values, because even if you have unresolved childhood trauma, you might be able to get behind it, but you need to know that that's what you're doing,
Right.
And you need to get behind the mission, visions, and values. And the bigger the organization I'm in, almost everybody who achieves really growth in their career, their fundamental goal is growth in their career and nothing else.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, um,
I don't want to be fair.
okay, well,
No, go ahead.
give
Be
me a
fair.
chance. Give me a chance here.
I'm gonna have a drink.
I think that's bad form for a podcast. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
It's a
We're not
podcast.
about form here. We're about
You
function.
should see what they do on Rogan. Like they're taking hits and
Drinking beer.
drinking whiskey.
Well, the thing I was going to say is that when you get into a bigger organization, once you enter the leadership ranks and you're in lower and middle management, you're constantly striving to prove your worth because you probably got there by being a great individual contributor and you're used to like doing things and making accomplishments that you can say, look, I did this. And people go, that's great. You are good because you did that. Leaders are the ones that enable teams to do great things. And that's another central part of is that the organization should be team-centric. The team is at the center of the organization. The individual contributors who are doing the work are the most important people. And the leadership enable them. That's their job, is to enable them.
Equips, supports, defends, protects,
removing obstacles, whatever.
Encourages.
Right. Whatever it takes for them to be great. Because if they're great, that's what makes you great as a leader. When you have great teams underneath you, then you are a great leader. If they're getting stuff done and doing and staying aligned with the mission, vision, and values, you are doing your job in total.
I'm going to utterly support you, but slightly disagree with one thing.
Okay.
Even when I think back on my career, going all the way back, most of the people I know who got promoted in bigger organizations were not the best individual contributors. They were the people who had selected as a goal being promoted.
Well, for sure. But they
so
knew.
Don't try to get promoted by being a great individual contributor. If you really do want to be promoted, you need to set that as your goal.
That's a good point, but I would argue, I don't disagree with you that the people that are out for power figure out how to leverage their capabilities to get it. Like they're not interested in being great at what they do. They're interested in being good enough to get noticed by the right people at the right time.
And taking the credit and dressing well or whatever it takes.
Right.
To be considered the person when the opportunity arises.
Right.
I just say that because I don't want to, I'm not against that, but my experience is people who achieve that really set that as a goal. And
yeah. And
be careful of that.
Right. Well, I have been in organizations where the people that are seeking to move up figure out how to manipulate their leaders so that they are the obvious choice to move up. Like they position themselves. It's a full-time job. And that's what they're good at. So they position themselves to move into that role they're seeking. And I've been in only one or two organizations in my whole life that didn't fall for that. That would see that and go, no, wrong reasons. You're a wrong reason leader. So no, not here.
That's a whole nother call or podcast. But interesting and great topic for today is being aware of that challenge in growing organizations and growing your own organization. And if you have these challenges and you're small or you're medium sized and you're hitting the thing and you're like, I want my culture to be good, to be great. I want it to be wildly successful. I don't want my limitations to get in the way of growing an exceptional culture. What we outline in the book is how to do that. Like, if you're willing to overcome that in yourself, we will get you there 100% of the time. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because we know, and if you read the book, there's a section on how to modify your behavior. It's like, look, sometimes, even though your gut is telling you one thing, your brain, your system 2 thinking, if you will, for those of you who read Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, your system 2 thinking can override your instincts. And if you're willing to put the effort in to modify your behavior, eventually the rest of you will catch up with it.
Yeah. Really, everything we describe in the book is to create systems to modify the behavior of everyone in the organization to generate alignment around mission, vision, and values. And so, I mean, that's the system we've built.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
So
thank you, Tom.
So come on board. Become a member of the Intentional Culture community. You can do that by commenting down below and saying how great this podcast was. But more importantly, Tom, is to click that subscribe button. Because a lot of people need to hear this stuff. And if you don't click that button, they won't. That's how this works. And if you want to talk more about leadership or culture or being wildly successful, reach out to us at beintentional.biz. We'd love to chat with you. Happy April Fools.
April Fools.
And happy Passover.
Don't combine those two.
Maybe not. We'll see. They did combine this year for some reason.
Bye.
Bye.